My goal is to help people. And so, hello, my name is Tony. This is I'm launching my first video today from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. My goal is to help people who are illiterate, who has a challenge reading, become better readers. I am now an avid reader, read hundreds of books, motivational books. But back in the day, let me give you a little bit of background on me. I was a pretty decent student in school, average, and wound up having a situation where I wanted to get into robotics at Harrisburg Area Community College here in this city. And one of the things that they did was when they took a look at my grade transcripts, they found out that I only had the reading level and the math level that I was on was third grade. So basically, what she was telling me was I have to um, take up the reading courses and take up some math courses. Now, what does a person do that has finished 12 years of school? What do they do with that information? Well, what I did was, and maybe most people do, is they take jobs where they don't have to read that much, and they take jobs where they don't have to add anything up, reading, math. And so that's what I did for over 20 years, maybe 30 years, uh, going through life just like that, you know. So I met a gentleman by the name of Milo Carpenter, and he was in financial services, and it was something that I was excited about. And I gave myself a 5-year plan. And one of the things when he was coaching me and mentoring me and training me, one of the things that he told me I had to do, well, guess what? The number one thing he told me I had to do: read. Well, of course, that was a stumbling block for me. Why? Because I hadn't read anything. I read, like I said, Sports Illustrated magazines, but he wasn't talking about that. He was talking about reading motivational books, reading self help books, reading books that would change your mindset, change your thinking. And so he had me on this reading path. And I'm going to reach down and I'm going to grab this book because as he was teaching me, one of the first books that I read was this book right here, Pat Riley, The Winner Within. This is one of the first books that I read. As you can see, it's pretty challenging as far as a person that was told that they had to read and was on and had this mindset that they were on a third grade reading level. How can I read a book like this when I'm on a third grade reading level? So one of the first things I had to do was what? Launch. I had to get started. And I knew I was a decent reader. And that was one of the first books I read. And since then, I've read hundreds of books. This other book that I'm going to grab right here is a great book and a great read. It's by a gentleman by the name of Myron Golden, and it's called "From the Trash Man to the Cash Man: How Anyone Can Get Rich Starting from Anywhere." This was one of the books that I read, and as you can see, this book is not that thick, so it's a great book. It's a great read. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the way I approach reading. There is a system that you put in place. There was a gentleman by the name of Andy Dokas. Andy Dokas, he was a great coach, great mentor of mine. He said one of the ways that he read was he would just pick the book up. He said he would open the book up, right? He would open the book up. He would read a page, right? Then he would put the marker in a page and he would close the book. And then he would put the book away for the day. And then he would do that repetitively, meaning he would pick the book up the next day, read a page, and put the marker back in the book and close the book. And through that system, he was able to read hundreds and hundreds of books. And so, one of the things that I want to chat about was reading and giving you different ways to read. As you can see in this book, it has tabs in here, and you can put tabs in your book to mark your books for different places that are important to you. One of the other things that I did when I was reading books is I have what's called a bookmarker. Now, this is a special type of bookmarker because it has scriptures on it, and I read those scriptures. I have these cards, and the reason why I have these multicolored cards here is because I wanted to make reading fun. I didn't want it to be a chore. I didn't want it to be a burden or something that's overwhelming. So I decided that I wanted to make reading fun. So I put these fun cards in here and I mark my books as I read along. And so my goal, my objective is to help you become an avid, sharp reader. Now, it's going to take four things in order for you to accomplish what I'm looking for us to accomplish. We, I say we, us. I'm French, we. So you hear me say we a lot. We, monsieur. You hear me say we. And so I'm saying we because we are going to be on this journey. I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'm not going to leave you by yourself. We are going to be on this journey together. So one of the things that I want to do is I want to give you four key principles that I'm going to be using in order for you to be the leader, the reader, and the leader that God has called you to be. I took the letters READ, READ, right? And I made an acronym out of it. Acronyms are when you take letters of words and you make acronyms out of it, like POUR, people overlooking opportunity repeatedly, or people passing over opportunity repeatedly. So people use acronyms all the time. And so God, good orderly direction, push, pray till something happens. So they use these words as acronyms. So I took the word READ, READ, and this is the process that we are going to go through in order for you to succeed at being the best reader ever. And we're going to celebrate each and every milestone and each and every hurdle that we go over. And I'm going to give you simple processes in order to accomplish reading. Not at the speed of light, but reading plus comprehension, understanding what you're reading, reading with emotion, putting emotion into it, putting yourself into the story, because there's going to be stories in a lot of books. And some of the books I read have stories in them. And I love stories. I love a good story because it's a story that I can take in right away and I can remember so that when I'm out and about, I can tell that story. So the first letter of read, of read is R. R means you have to be ready. Okay, the one way you get ready is like golfing. You have to have an approach, and these cards, like I have here, help me get ready. I prep my book with these card 3x5 cards, colored cards, and sometimes I use white cards and a bookmarker. So I prep my book for reading. Number two, I'm going to give you, these are the tools that I use because it takes tools. Number two, highlighter. This is very important because you read something and thoughts come and thoughts go, and we have thousands of thoughts running through our mind daily. So what I want you to do is I want you, as you're reading along, highlight some things that jump out at you. It's like they come off the page, they're bold, they come up to, oh, I'm gonna highlight that, or highlight a paragraph, or highlight a phrase, or highlight a quote in the book. So I use a highlighter. This is one of the tools that I use to help me in reading the hundreds of books that I've read. Okay, number three, have a pen. Okay, if you think it, ink it. If you think it, ink it. That's pretty easy. If you have a thought, write it down. Write that down, because thoughts come and thoughts go. So that's going to be our phrase for today. If you think it, ink it. Put it down on paper. Okay. And the last thing you need is, for those readers that have challenges, is you need a set of these. Put these on. Now I know it's glaring, so I'm going to take these off, but you need a set of glasses. If you have prescription glasses, fine. If you have reading glasses, fine. But hey, mental clarity is what we want for you to accomplish when we move this along. Okay, so that's number one. Be ready. Okay, number two is E, enthusiastic. You have to be excited. You have to be enthusiastic about this journey we're about to go on, because it's going to be fun. You have to be enthusiastic. It cannot be frustrating. Okay, enthusiasm is, the last four letters is ISAM. I am sold myself. So you have to be sold out on the journey that we're on, journey that we're about to embark on. Okay, so the E is enthusiasm. A, attitude. This is very important. This is going to be key. You know, they say attitude is contagious. Is yours worth catching? Is yours worth catching? Okay, so people can have a good attitude about this, or people can have a bad attitude about this. But you know what? Your attitude will determine it's your attitude, not your aptitude, that will control your altitude. Let me say that again. It's your attitude, good attitude, good outlook, positive, right? Optimistic, not your aptitude, how much you know, knowledge, that will control your altitude, how high we're going to go in reading. Okay, so that's going to be key. Okay, so E is enthused. A is attitude. Okay, okay. READ. D. What is D? D is the most important one. You have to be determined. You gotta be determined. You gotta be determined. You gotta be determined. Driven. You can use that word. Driven. D. Driven. You gotta be driven. You gotta be willing to take a licking, like Timex. You used to have that commercial, Timex. You take a licking and keep on ticking. Okay. You have to be willing to go through some things. Okay. I'll give you a short story. When I first started reading and I went to read the Bible after I had been reading motivational books, I took a challenge of reading the Bible in a year. And trust me, I was spiking it like a football. You're not supposed to throw the Bible down, but you know what? I don't mean spiking it literally like a football, but I was throwing it over to the side and saying, why bother? It's too hard. It's too complicated. Can't understand the words that are in this book. And a thought came to me, right? And it was my third grade teacher thought. And she said, in order for you to read, sound it out. I said, oh, yeah, you know what? What a novel idea. I'm glad I thought of that. No, that was my teacher. She thought of that. But I'm just using that as an example. And what we did was we sounded it out, and I broke the words down and I sounded it out. And that's what we're going to do as I'm training you, I'm coaching you how to read. And we're going to sound the words out. We're going to get a dictionary out. We're going to get the definitions of words so you know what the words mean as you come across them. We're going to be doing all this fun stuff, right? But we're going to be reading in a way that most people aren't teaching on how to read. I have a unique system in place that's going to teach you how to read. But if you hang in there with me, you will be an avid reader. Please, 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 please do not quit. The reason why most people are successful is because number one, they got started. They got started and they didn't quit. They got started, they didn't quit. And everything else in between happened, but they got started and they did not quit. So what I want you to do is, I want you to get started, and I want you to do in light of an emergency, do not quit, because I'm going to be there with you every step of the way. Now, this video is kind of going to be lengthy because I'm giving you an introduction to who I am and what I do and how gifted I am in what I do. And so we are going to really, really have some fun. This is going to be fun. And we're going to get the job done. It's going to be exciting. So the last letter is driven. So it's R for ready, get ready, right? E for enthusiastic, be enthusiastic. A, attitude, have a great attitude, have an optimistic approach to the whole thing. D, be determined, be driven, be disciplined. Discipline is another one. We have to be disciplined. So we're going to have to do the same thing over. Discipline is just doing the same thing over and over again and sharpening your skills as you go along the way to get good at what you're doing. So this is Tony Lawson. Here's my handle. I'm Tony with a Y, the simple guy. I teach simple success principles that anybody can master. Anybody. All you have to do is be willing. Now, I'm going to ask you a question at the end of every video. And it's going to be two questions, simple questions. And my question is, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you pick up this book and read this book in its entirety? Yes, anybody can. Can you pick up this book here, Trash Man and Cash Man? Can you pick up this book and read it in its entirety? Yes. Can you do this? Yes. But here's a bigger question. Will you do this? See, you have to be willing in order to do this. So, this is Tony with the Why, the Simple Guy. I'm signing off saying take care, take charge, dream big, because you'll never be bigger than your dreams.